Good morning, guys. I know, I know I haven't really uploaded stuff in a while, but I don't know, just for the hell of it, and I'm kind of bored. I might as well just show you for the hell of it my Steam library, like the ones I have installed. I believe it or not, I've had to deal with a move like in between while dealing with some in real life stuff. So that's why I haven't really uploaded anything in like a while, or even any of the more like game speed runs, casual personal best, or anything like that. Mostly just been dealing with, mostly just dealing with the reality of the ever shifting economy and the ever shifting circumstances for the middle class family. But I don't know, I'm thinking it was some fun right now, so no, this isn't great quality, but I figured I want to show some of this off since I really like to play games on my Steam Deck. My Steam Deck has been keeping me pretty good, pretty happy with a lot of stuff to play while in the process of moving to a new apartment. I got a lot of stuff installed, but like I haven't played all these yet, but these are like ones that either I've heard of before in the past and wanted to play, or have been recommended by friends, or ones like this. This one was recommended by YouTubers like Norel, which I assume a lot of you have probably already heard of. That guy, I think he makes pretty good content in my opinion, but I am kind of I like him mostly, but I do think his Silent Hill 2 video wasn't that good in my opinion. There's a lot of good shit that I've get to play, like this Anton Blast. I heard it's like another take on the Wario Land, type like platformer exploration and all that. Like rather than Pizza Tower, which I played, I did play a while ago, and they said Pizza Tower just has this really fun, like kinetic sense of pacing, and I always love games with a fun sense of kinetic pacing. I always think about games like Donkey Kong Country 2, Sonic, even Mario, and I always say to myself, I love that those games encourage you. I always love those games encourage a fun sense of pacing and always encourage you to chain moves or to, like go as fast as possible. I've always really loved platformers like that. It's just, in general period. That's why I always am interested in games that even take from like Wario Land. Like and this game does look pretty cool to me, I remember Ant Dude recommending it in like a video, and I usually trust his opinions. He has pretty good taste. Even if I disagree with them sometimes. I have other stuff on here like this one. Like I remember Mark from everybody knows Game Maker's Toolkits, even though I don't watch them as much as I used to. I remember this being a pretty cool game. And this one I just fucking love, honestly. If you guys ever played Wipeout, futuristic racing games with items, this is just the kind of game up my alley. Ballistic NG. It's just simply phenomenal. It just has this phenomenal sense of speed, phenomenal sense of gameplay. Really fast, well timed drifts, like good track design, good challenges. I really enjoyed what I played of it, you know? it's genuinely a great spiritual successor in my opinion. Oh, whoops. Wait, I'll click into it. No. I made a mistake. Whoops. Everybody, of course. She's probably played Bayonetta before. That's like a fun like, fun 3D action game like Devil May Cry. Everybody's played that. Atari 50 of collection. I played a decent bit of. I'm not like the biggest hardcore guy into like old Atari games, but I like certain ones, Tempest 2000, Breakout, Pong. I like Defender. It's a it's I like them, honestly. I just kind of the only reason I don't play them as often is because like sometimes I'm just not in the mood for a score attack game. Sometimes I do want games with more of a general purpose beyond just score attack or for its own sake, like maybe a story or maybe exploration or atmosphere. And nothing wrong with the game just being a score attack game. I got a lot of games on here that are like a score attack game. This is another one, but at the same time I do like a good healthy variety, like of type of games. I got other stuff on here. These which I yet to play, but I heard they're really good. Binding of Isaac, which I've also heard is pretty good. I have played this one before. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 1. I thought it was pretty good. I do love classic Vania kind of games. I enjoy Castlevania 3, Rondo Blood, Bloodlines. I think they're just genuinely really good. I think they're really good in my opinion. And these ones, very Zelda inspired. I enjoy games like that. This one is like a shmup. Enjoy, some more indies. Call of Duty 2, which I've heard is like a fantastic game. I played Call of Duty 1 one time recently, and I was like, Call of Duty 1, I know is not like the fan favorite, but I was like, wow. There are a lot of things I admire about it. And, it's not my favorite FPS per se. There's a lot I play, but Call of Duty 1, even for 2003, I find a very impressive game. Impressive sound design, impressive weapons, fun gameplay. No, not the best in the world, but for a first game, it feels like a high mark to me. Like it's like a high start for I know nowadays it's an infamous series, but at the time, I it's a series that earned a lot of respect. And I don't blame Infinity Ward or any of those guys who worked on the games. It's not their fault. Activision just kind of milked it into the ground because they're a bunch of selfish shitty heads. A bunch of selfish assholes that made it a yearly franchise when maybe it shouldn't have been. Let's see. There's Call of Duty 4. That's a phenomenal game from what I heard. Capcom fighting games. There you go. Castle Crashers, which I would like to play. I would like to play with one of my friends online. Maybe after I move to the new apartment. Honestly, it's kind of the game that I would probably have more fun with friends. But I do, I do enjoy and respect it. It is pretty cool. Castle Illusion, I played the original, not the remake. Celeste is simply fantastic in my opinion. I played this a lot on my old Switch. And I think it's one of the best. I think it's one of the best 2D platformers ever, in my opinion. Up there with Klonoa 2, Donkey Kong Country 2, Pizza Tower. Like it has great gameplay, emotional story context, very very good challenges. I think very much of it as a modern classic. In my honest opinion, I enjoy it a ton. Very beautiful game. I mean, it means a lot to me. Yeah, then there's this. Oh yeah, con games are pretty fun though. I like these. They're like cute 'em ups. I think that's what you call them, like cute 'em ups. I like a lot of cute 'em ups. They're fun. I like when games I like when games have the fun anime like visual art style. It's like one of my preferred art styles personally. But I can do with like a lot of different type of variety. I don't need just one type of art style. I do have my preferences, like 80s OVA art styles, or like classic 2D animation, and or like maybe the Spider-Verse art style for more modern CGI. I have my preferences, but that's just how I feel, Like, then let's see. Oh yeah, and then there's Cuphead, which Cuphead I think it's genuinely a great game. I've probably talked about this one a couple times in the past, but having everything hand drawn, everything like frame by frame, 60 FPS with old ass tech. It's with like Fleischer ass, like surrealist, like, well, I guess Fleischer ass surrealist inspired animation. I think it genuinely is. I genuinely think it is one of the best looking games in my opinion. I think genuinely it's amazing. I genuinely love it. I genuinely think like there's probably nothing gonna be like it anymore. Like, unless someone that does want to do, wants to do that kind of game is up to the task, but I kind of doubt it. I mean, it was a pretty expensive game. Even like kind of forced the developers to sell all their assets, hoping it would do well. It's a miracle, honestly, it did so fucking well. It's the kind of game I admire, like artistically, and gameplay wise. Like, I think it's just admirable. I think it's an admirable video game for me. I genuinely love it. I genuinely enjoy it. I recommend it if you haven't played it before. You should play Cuphead. Cuphead's fun in my opinion. There we go. Let's see, we got The Blob, Death Smiles, Demon Turf. I might just stop on a random one. Doom 64. Doom 64, I think, is just simply phenomenal. It's like my favorite classic Doom game. I don't know how people nowadays, like, how do they feel about the whole classic Doom games saga, but Doom 64 is like just simply phenomenal to me. It's my favorite one. It's my favorite atmosphere. It's my favorite art style. That's my favorite gameplay. I think it's just really a lot of fun, honestly. It's just genuinely fun, and it has a horror vibe, and I enjoy horror vibes. Doom 1 and 2, I respect 2 for what they are. But, I genuinely admire Doom 64. Like, I think Doom 64 is fucking rad, honestly. Anyone who has an interest in classic boomer shooter design should play it. It's just simply amazing, in my opinion. Let's see. All these are pretty good games. I'll just stop on a random one. Wait, let me stop. Yeah, there we go. Frito Planet 2, I've been recommending, like, ever since it came out and I got a chance to play it. I've been trying over and over to get people to play this. I think it's just genuinely an incredible sequel, in my honest opinion. And I really love the first game. I replayed both of these recently, and I'm just like, wow, they are simply stunning. Like in terms of quality, in my opinion, quality, attention to detail, good gameplay, great bosses, great levels, charming as fuck, like vibes. It's just simply delightful. I just fucking loved it. I just fucking love these games. I just, you know, I genuinely, I genuinely just want to get my friends more into this, but I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to be rude or saying that. I'm not saying people have to play them, but I feel like if people love high kinetic games, but with like I guess a little bit longer length than Sonic, and more of its own take on the Sonic, I guess, gameplay, I recommend them. I genuinely think they're cool. I genuinely adore them. I genuinely think they're good. All right, then stop on another random one. Yeah, these are some pretty cool ones. Gimmick 2, Gravity Circuit. I've heard is like, I think that's like a Mega Man like game. When I used to interact on one of my friends' servers, like this one guy, whenever people would say, "Oh well, if you want a new Mega Man, just play this." Like I much as I respectfully disagree with this mindset, I did still buy it anyways. And this is still on my to-do list. It looks pretty cool. And I do like Mega Man like games. I enjoy them honestly. I regularly replay the classic Mega Mans. Even like Mega Man 1 and 2, which I consider the weakest. I do genuinely enjoy, honestly. I think they're really really good games in my opinion, and I would enjoy another Mega Man like game. They're pretty cool. Let's see. Oh yeah, these are some pretty cool ones. Hat in Time. Everyone should have played a Hat in Time at some point. I mean, I feel if you're like kind of one of those annoying YouTubers that keeps saying, "Oh, 3D platformers are dead. They're dead. They're dead. They're gone." I'm like, play this. Play this. Play Hat in Time. Play Pumpkin Jack. Play Haste. Play. I'm trying to think of other ones. Play Yooka-Laylee. Play Corn Kid 64. There's a lot of like indie 3D platformers. Indie 3D collectathons. I'm genuinely confused why do people keep saying that? Why do people keep acting like games aren't fun? Like, I guess like if you're burnt out on them, that's one thing. Like if you want to take a break from games, I mean that's fair enough. We all kind of get tired of probably doing one type of thing over and over, but it's another when people act like, oh, there's no good games anymore, and then I'm like, bro, look at this, Hat in Time. That's a good game. That's a good game in my opinion. You just gotta open your eyes and genuinely, if you look around, I'm sure there'd be lots of games that you would find that you love, you respect. Maybe not all of them, but I'm sure you would find some that genuinely captures a specific niche that you want. There's a lot on here. I'll look at some other ones. Oh yeah, well, Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight's fantastic. I love this game. It's pretty cool. I played this a lot on my Switch. Hollow Knight Silk Song, which I heard is pretty great as well. Like I like I like this. I like these kind of games. Metroidvanias. I very much regularly love to replay Super Metroid just because Super Metroid is like this super dense, super atmospheric, maybe not as hard like Metroid game, but I just like a fun power trip, And I love games, well, maybe not give the similar type of vibe, but I do enjoy exploratory games. Whatever you want to call it, Metroidvania, Ecovania, or if you want to be like a pretentious guy like Search and Rescue, if you really want to fight the semantics of a Metroidvania, but regardless of whatever you want to call them, they're just this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool games in my opinion. I genuinely enjoy games like this. Let's see. What's another one? Oh yeah, Katamari. Katamari is kind of surprised how this silly as hell game about rolling up shit and like trying to, please the king of cosmos. It's funny how I would end up respecting this game so much. And even the guy who made it. It's just I know it's silly, and I know it's kind of silly to respect such a quaint little simple idea like rolling up shit, but I don't know what it is. The gameplay, the music, like the innately Japanese game design of it. Simple idea, formatted into its natural fullest conclusion. But I love Katamari. I love Katamari. We love Katamari. I think they're both simply phenomenal games, Like, I think they're like the epitome of games that, like, satisfy me, to its fullest conclusion. It's just creativity. Like, to me, it's the epitome of creativity. And I want games like that all the time. Like I'm sick of games that like just kind of follow the trend or always do the same thing over and over, regardless of whether or not they've lost their novelty or if like they just get really repetitive. But it's good to have variety. I'm sick of games that like always feel the need to like follow trends. Like it's all right to make a new idea. I agree with the director, Takashi. Like you should. I do think people should do new ideas. I agree with them, and I believe in that philosophy. You should do new ideas, not just keep doing the same fucking thing over and over to please stockholders. Oh, this is some pretty great ones. Legacy of Kain. I love the first one. It had a pretty thought-provoking story for me. I genuinely really like it. I can get why it would be one of someone's like one of their favorite games of all time, like Legacy of Kain. I got a lot out of it, honestly. That I think that it has neat world building. Nosgoth is a pretty cool place. I like the fighting, between the brothers. I like I genuinely like the voice acting, which for 1990, well, like the late 90s is pretty surprising. Like even Half-Life 1, a game that, you know, a game known for its pushes into the innovation of more cinem, cinematic type pushing. I would even argue just kind of like the voice acting just, well, it's not as great as it could be, but Legacy of Kain's voice acting, being so theatrically like driven, I think genuinely is amazing. I think it genuinely holds up. I think it's honestly some of the best voice acting of the '90s. You know, and even now it's like pretty fucking solid in my opinion. You know, like I have ones I respect like almost as much. Like Metal Gear Solid's still pretty good, and Silent Hill 1. I know people will probably fight me on this, but I do think I do think some of that intentional awkwardness I think was part of it. Like I think Silent Hill 1 was supposed to have a little bit of a, like a strange aura. Characters would talk a little bit strange, have pauses. I think Silent Hill 2 and the later games do it better, but I think Silent Hill 1 just like, I think definitely it was intentional. I think, I think, David Lynch stuff, with how he is. I think honestly that it's kind of unavoidable. Like it's one of their it's one of their main inspirations. Stephen King, Jacob's Ladder, David Lynch work. Like honestly, those are probably my most respect of the '90s. Honestly, but I get if people say, oh well, I don't know, the voice acting sounded weird, but I'm like, I don't think it was a product at all of, '90s, like, localization or voice acting for Japanese games wasn't that great. Like, I think there wasn't a bit of intentionality, but I think on the whole, Legacy of Kain, I think does it the best, in my opinion, does the voice acting the best of that era, in my opinion. But that's just me. That's just how I feel. From what I played of '90s, '90s console and PC games. Of course, there's this one, Logic Bombs. Sorry if I keep stopping. I'm just like, I just honestly, I probably more picked this one up just because I respect Matthew Matosis, and I think Matthew Matosis is like one of the best YouTube critics. I know I know nowadays he doesn't make YouTube videos, but that's why I respect he did make his own game. I don't feel like every critic has that what would I call it? Like some don't have the greatest, I guess, like they may be amazing critics, but they don't have the most creative of minds or the creative philosophy to do it right. But I believe Matthew Matosis can do both. And, maybe that's like, I guess maybe the people a simple puzzle game where you solve a puzzle. I guess, like, it's not as interesting as, like, a big high budget game, but I do respect, like, smaller titles like this. And I respect, like, Matthew got to make his game he wanted. I think that's genuinely cool. I think it's genuinely amazing. That's my opinion on that. I genuinely respect him. I don't know. He's cool. Let's see. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff here. Metal Gear Solid 2, one of my most respected games. I love it. I could get in. It probably could take me hours. How I honestly feel on MGS2, but no. MGS2 is just genuinely. MGS2 is just a pretty fucking peak story in my opinion. I love Kojima. Kojima, ever since I was 16 years old, his stories, at least with Metal Gear Solid, have always left me with a lot of philosophical questions to leave with me. It left me with a lot to think about, especially in a post-internet world. Like, a lot of it really has resonated with me over the years. And I think like Perfect Blue or, Serial Lane, I think those kind of stories, I think there's something genuinely thought provoking about it, you know? Maybe not everybody, like, maybe not everyone would care for that kind of stuff, but for me, like, I do love, like, philosophy a little bit. I love thinking about our current circumstances politically a little, you know, and I do love, like, I love Kojima. I think Kojima is a genius. I'm like, I get so annoyed when like people act these days, oh, Kojima, he's a fail movie guy, and that's why he made games or whatever. Oh, that's like trying to discredit him like that. But I just say, I think those people are dishonest, and I think those people have no understanding of what inspires video games. Sometimes I think people like to act like Kojima, like Kojima can have some weird tendencies. But honestly, I kind of expect that with any creator, like George Lucas, David Lynch, Paul Thomas Anderson, Hayao Miyazaki, Ano. Like there's just certain things that certain creative types do that I think you kind of have to expect a bit. I'm not saying it's always great in every context, but I think like I don't know. I just get kind of annoyed. Like I get annoyed because I do respect Kojima, and I think even if I don't care for Death Stranding personally, I think I'm glad that he's doing his ideas. I'm glad that he's doing what he wants, even if people might not like it sometimes. I'm like, that's the nature of art, baby. Not everything's got to be something that you like. I kind of would think people could accept that by now if people considered games art. But that's just me. That's just how I feel. That it's alright that not everything has to appeal to everybody. That art, like the stuff I do like from them, like Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. Like I still love them. I don't care what. I don't care if one of Kojima's games. I don't care if one of Kojima's games doesn't appeal to me. Like that's part of being a grown up. Is I don't really give a fuck. I don't really give a fuck. I don't take it personally. I kind of say, good for him. Good for him. I'm glad he's not like a corporate puppet to Konami. Konami fucking sucks dicks. They're terrible. The terrible company. The terrible. And I don't think anyone in good faith would seriously suggest Kojima should have stayed with Konami. Like, I think that's just bad faith, in my honest opinion. Like, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel. Like, Konami fucking sucks eggs. Oh yeah, these games are pretty cool. Ninja Gaiden. I love the Ninja Gaiden. Well, I only played the first one, but I love Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden's fun. They're pretty cool 3D action games. I like this game a lot. It's pretty fun. I definitely recommend them if you're looking for, something, kind of like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, but, like a little bit harder. Like, I think Ninja Gaiden is just really fucking fun. I haven't played Ninja Gaiden Black or any of the older ports, but if, Xbox emulation, if it ever gets up to snuff, I would like to try what people consider the best version of Ninja Gaiden 1, for the 3D games, specifically. That would be cool. There we go. There's some more games that I've heard pretty good things about. Outer Wilds, Owlboy. I love the Pac-Man Championship games. Those are cool. Pac-Man World 2 Repack. I've talked about this on Blue Sky. I think it's a genuinely cool as fuck remake that I think anybody Well, if people love the original, I think people should try. And I think it's one of those well worthwhile upgrades, in my honest opinion. You know, I like it. It's cool. And then there's the other one, Pac-Man World 1 repack. That's a pretty great. That's about as great in my opinion. Let's see. Then some other stuff. Some games. Well, this one's pretty cool. I might have to give it a replay, honestly, just to be certain of my opinion on it. But I remember it being pretty cool, even if I did run into some technical issues. But I don't know, maybe if I replay it now, like I might not have as many technical issues. You know, and it could have just been a matter of maybe on the Steam Deck they didn't. Maybe they gave more post patches to fix certain things. Let's see. I talked about Pizza Tower before. This one's cool. I played the Portal games. The Portal games are simply phenomenal. And I think, you know, I don't think you need me to say it. I think anybody who's heard of video games or has interest in video games has heard about, you know, Portal and characters like GLaDOS and the wonderful dialogue and the wonderful ambient world building with, you know, everybody's heard of fucking Portal. That's my point. Like, it's cool. It's cool. I love them. Definitely play them at some point in your life. Let's see. Sorry. Let's see, some more indie games I've heard good things about. Syllabite. I think someone gifted that to me. You know, he's a pretty cool guy. You know, I don't know if he's watching this video, but thank you for gifting me some of these. I do really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're a cool dude. Pumpkin Jack. Heard this from an Austin Expression video. Puyo Puyo. These were my gateway into one of the most fun series of puzzle games for me. I really do love these fast-paced combo emphasis puzzlers with a nice good anime art style. I always really like games like that. It's very appealing to my tastes. Radiant Silvergun. You know, Radiant Silvergun is pretty cool. I like treasure games. You know, all of them I pretty much enjoyed. You know, Dynamite Heady, you know, Mischief Makers, Alien Soldier, Gunstar Heroes, Sin and Punishment. They're all pretty good games, honestly. I genuinely like them all. Like, I genuinely think that they are a high mark company in terms of like their quality input treasure. There's not a single game I don't think I really dislike from them. But, you know, I could be wrong. I just, from the vast majority I played, I'd say I really enjoyed, or I think it's genuinely really amazing. I'm pretty bad at Radiant Silvergun, though, but I do respect this game a lot. I think it is like a pretty cool as shit game. I wish I was better at it, but that's what replaying it can do. Like I can just get better at the stages I suck at. I enjoy the level up system. I enjoy how versatile it can feel. Like, there's a lot of good thought in there that I would never say otherwise. It's a pretty cool game, in my opinion. And then some other cool ones. River City Girls. Enjoyed replaying this. It's pretty fun. Salt and Sanctuary. You know, I heard it's pretty good too. Sega Genesis Collection. You know, it's where I might replay some Genesis games. then some Senran Kagura games. I love some fan service games, and I'm not gonna lie otherwise. Like, I genuinely like these games. They're fun. Maybe not the most in depth, but I like the 3D. I like the combat. I like the great character designs. I like how dope as shit it is. I wish I wish they made a new one, and it didn't have to be sold on a Sony console, but alas, you can't have everything in the world. That's all right. Yeah, Serious Sam, those are cool. Everyone should play Shantae at some point. Shantae is pretty fucking cool. Shantae is a pretty fucking cool series, especially Pirate's Curse. Pirate's Curse is simply a delightful video game, in my opinion. I love Shantae. Really glad Liam Triforce got me into these games. I really love Shantae. Shantae is pretty fucking cool. Let's see. Shovel Knight, classic there. Signalis, that's like a horror game that I heard was pretty cool. Slipstream, which I heard is pretty cool. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, these are great classic games. Sonic Mania, fantastic game. I mean, these are all pretty great. I mean, from what I've heard. Streets of Kamurocho, that's a fun little, like, Yakuza spin-off. Streets of Rage 4, that's another pretty great game. Super Hexagon, that's another pretty great game. System Shock Remake, I heard, is simply a phenomenal remake. System Shock 2, I mean, I've heard for fucking years how amazing System Shock 2 is. So I'm glad Night Dive has been re-releasing them. I genuinely enjoyed my time with System Shock Enhanced Edition. It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun if a pretty damn, like, it was pretty, I see it as a big progenitor of a lot of, immersive sim design, or emergent gameplay in general, like in Breath of the Wild. Toho, I mean, these games are fun. They're hard as fuck, but they are really fun. I do enjoy the Toho games. Let's see, what else? Tunic. Oh, Tai, these games are fun. Tai 1 and 2. Nitro Rad got me interested. Turok, they're pretty great. UFO 50. I mean, UFO 50 is simply a cool as shit game. I like the little idea of it as what if Action 52, what if it didn't suck? And not only did it not suck, but it actually had a lot of great games. A lot of great short games or great experimental games. And I do respect this game. It's pretty cool, I genuinely respect this game, honestly. I think it's pretty cool. I see it as a modern classic, in my opinion. Let's see. Voodoo Vince, heard that's good. Takashi's one of his more independent works. Watum. I heard this is pretty cool. It's from the guy who made like Katamari, so it's always pretty cool. We love Katamari. One of the tightest as fuck sequels I can think of, like, period, in my honest opinion. Windjammers 2, which I heard was pretty cool. The Wonder Boy games that, I remember trying one of the Wonder Boy games, but I would like to try more of them, honestly. The Wonderful 101, which is simply a delightful game that like I feel everybody at some point should play. Wonderful 101 is like simply delightful. Delightful, has great characters, fun gameplay. I enjoy it. It's pretty cool. Ukulele, which I know people are more mixed on nowadays, but honestly, I think I at least do respect it for laying the groundwork of indie collectathons. And I feel like it's not that bad in retrospect when they have learned from their mistakes, like Ukulele and the Possible Layer and Yuka Replay. Like Yuka Replay, I mean, it's pretty much fixed every issue that the original had. Like the not as fun Cardos, minecart missions, or the 8-bit Rextro missions are now actually really fun instead of being kind of lame and shitty. And a lot of the more irritating moments have been smoothed out. So it's not like a 6 out of 10 to me. Now I think of Replay as like a 9. I think it's like the best. I think it's the best banjo style platformer of the bunch that I played, in my honest opinion. Honestly, even Kazooie to me, as much as I love Banjo Kazooie, and I did grow up with Banjo Kazooie in 2012, like Yuka Replay is just, I think, is a superior game to me. Overall, I think in terms of a lot of it, I think Yuka Replay is amazing. I think it's a really fun reimagining, and I think anybody that wasn't sold on the first one, understandably, should give the remake a try. I do believe it's like a pretty great fucking reimagining, in my opinion. And then that's it. That's it for all the ones I installed. I hope you all found this a really fun. I hope you found this pretty fun, and like you got to see what I have installed on my current Steam library. I don't know if I'll do, well, like a part 2 for emulation station stuff, but I just kind of had this idea randomly and saying to myself, you know what, I am kind of bored. I'd like to show people what I have on my Steam library. And like I said, I'm still dealing with the move process, so it's gonna take a while before like I fully kind of settle in. But yeah, I hope you all have a great and wonderful day. And with that, I'll see I'll see you guys in the future. Goodbye.